1 month from today, Canadians will find out how Ottawa plans to spend their tax dollars to try to get the economy going. The Finance Minister announced he will table the federal budget a month from today, March 22nd, and he's also admitting the budget deficit will be much larger than the Liberals promised during the election campaign. Let's get right to all the numbers on this with our business host, Jeannie Lee. So really a little sample of what we can expect a month from today, and perhaps, you know, some might say it was a bit of a warning.
It was a warning, Jennifer, though we didn't get very specific in terms of exactly what it is that we should be worried about. The most definitive news from Finance Minister Bill Morneau was that the budget will come on March 22nd, Tuesday, March 22nd. And here are some other details that he did reveal today. He said, just like the OECD did last week, by the way, he slashed Canada's growth expectation this year from 2% to 1.4%, so totally in line with what the OECD said last week. He also did say that the deficits in the next 3 years will be like this, a little smaller than expected this year at about $2.3 billion, but ballooning to $18.4 billion next year. Remember, the election promise was that the deficits would be kept at about $10 billion, and in the third year, it's actually expected to go to about $15 billion. So at least 2 years in a row of bigger than expected deficits. And it's because of the price of oil. The government has had to base its estimates now on $40 oil instead of $54, as was its first premise. And it's because the price of oil has fallen so much and seems to be stuck there in the low $30 range at the moment. But the Finance Minister did note overall the economy has faded a lot since October, which he argues actually bolsters the Liberals' promise and strategy of spending more money in order to, and running deficits in order to get the economy out of the ditch. So have a listen to the Finance Minister on that.
We recognize that Canadians expect us to be prudent. I'm talking about investments, not spending. We will be prudent with those investments, and we will make sure that we make a difference in economic growth, which will be the most important thing for Canadians as we face up to a low-growth environment.
Notice he clearly felt the need to frame spending as investment now, because obviously there will be a lot of people who will be unhappy with the fact that the deficits will be much larger than expected, and that's because some people didn't think there should be any kind of deficit at all in tough times. That's a whole other strategy, though, than what the Liberals are doing.
Right. So those who voted for the Liberals, though, knew that they were saying we will be doing some, there will be a deficit, but as you explained, that was supposed to be about $10 billion, and now a huge ballooning of those numbers. We won't get the details on the impact that'll have on the budget for a month, but what kinds of things should we be watching for there in terms of a sense of how this will affect the economy?
Well, certainly there were a lot of questions put to the Finance Minister, but he seemed to repeat the same few points. He stuck them in every single answer. So we're left with a lot of questions still. How much larger will those deficits be? Will they include new spending beyond what has already been announced in terms of infrastructure, for example? What if oil stays at $30 a barrel and doesn't go up to an average of $40, which the new forecast is based on? When will the budget be balanced? How do we get out of deficit once, you know, things get better? And also, just how much further ahead will we be once infrastructure does start, that spending does start, say 4 years from now? What kind of projects will have been completed, for example? So many, many details to come, and he's said that we'll get them on March 22nd.
Huge questions looming then. We'll find out in a month.